Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here to invite you to engage in one of our all-time favorite activities, beloved of critics and collectors alike. I mean, label bashing. I mean, serious label bashing. I am going to talk to you now about 5 really silly box sets. Things that never should have existed, that were done completely wrong, that are a total waste of time and money. It's marvelous. It gives us something to really get our gumption up at. You know what I mean? So get your gumption ready and let's start bashing. Oh, there were so many to choose from, to be honest, but I picked these 5 because we can make this an ongoing series. Oh, God, I'm so excited. All right, number 1. On Decca, Zubin Mehta, Symphonies and Symphonic Poems. Now, nothing wrong with that, is there? Except that it does not contain the complete Zubin Mehta Symphonies and Symphonic Poems on Decca. Not by a long shot. And beyond that, they just released Zubin Mehta, the Los Angeles recordings, which has most of what's in here already. So you get, for example, the Beethoven 7th. That's with, L.A., wasn't it? Harold in Italy and the Symphonie Fantastique. Bruckner 9, that's Vienna. Okay, but Vienna also had other things, like, for example, one of the best things Mehta ever did, the Franz Schmidt 4th Symphony. It's not in here. Not here! Why bother? It's not there. Okay, then you get the Tchaikovsky Complete Symphonies. Oh, that's with L.A., and you get Liszt's Lay Preludes for some reason. And then Dvorak 789, that's with L.A., and Mahler Symphonies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 1 is Israel. Number 2 is with Vienna, and 3 is with L.A., and 4 is with Israel, and 5 is with L.A. Okay, fine. Schubert Complete Symphonies, that's with L.A., and then you get 4 Strauss Tone Poems, and that's the whole box. Why not just do a Zubin Mehta Decca edition? Well, they can't do that now because they've already done the Zubin Mehta LA edition. So there ought to be at least a Vienna edition, or a Vienna and Israel edition, or an Israel edition. I don't know. It's just, it just doesn't make any sense, because if you have this, then what are you going to get the LA one for? And if you have the LA one for, you don't want this just for those few extra things that are there. And they leave stuff out anyway. Part of the problem is that this, with this little shiny thing, that means it comes from Italy, Decca Italy. And apparently they are operating completely on their own without regard to what the rest of the company does. So, no coordination there. Nobody running the show from the top. Now, here's another Decca, a Decca whopper. This one will come as no surprise. It's the Sacre du Printemps, the Rite of Spring edition. 30-some-odd recordings of the Rite of Spring. It was a cute idea, actually. Do all the Rites of Springs from the Decca catalog. Every single one of them. I mean, the Universal catalog. Forget Decca. This is Universal. This is everything that the 3 Universal labels have. And, it was a celebration of the Rite of Spring. But, I mean, talk about limited interest. It was a limited edition, too. But there it is. Totally pointless. Completely, especially since half of the performances in here are horrible. So, I mean, and we knew they were horrible going in. I mean, there's no pretense to pretending that any of these are the best at anything or are good. It's just what we had. We just swept up the pile and stuffed them in a box. How convenient. The only thing dumber than a ridiculous, pointless edition devoted to one work is a competing sequel on another label. Oh, I love it. The Sony Le Sacre du Printemps edition. There aren't as many here. I think there are just like about a dozen here. They don't have as many as all the Universal labels. But, I mean, there's nothing that needs to be said, right? I mean, it's perfectly clear. Now, let's talk about a monumental moronic edition. It was this thing. This is the Deutsche Grammophon Vienna Philharmonic 175th Anniversary Doorstop edition. Because that's what this is. It's a doorstop or a hitching post. You could use it as a hitching post, some sort of, maybe a highway, lane divider during road construction. You can use it for that too. Here's the problem. The problem is that shortly before this was issued, Deutsche Grammophon issued this, the Vienna Philharmonic Symphony Edition. Now, this contains the complete symphonies of Mozart, a bunch of Haydn's, the Beethoven symphonies, Schubert symphonies 3, 5, 8, and 9, Mendelssohn symphonies 4 and 5, the complete Schumann symphonies, the complete Brahms symphonies, Bruckner 1, 4, 5, 7, and 9, Tchaikovsky 4 through 6, Dvorak 6 through 9, Mahler symphonies 2 through 6, 8 through 10, everything but 7, Sibelius symphonies 1, 2, 5, and 7, and Shostakovich symphonies 6 and 9. That is a lot of Vienna Philharmonic symphonies, none of which appear here. And, well, it's not exactly true, because they did duplicate some of it because they had no choice, because there was nothing left. This is definitely the odds and ends, the sweepings of the Deutsche Grammophon catalog. I mean, let's look at some of the junk they threw in here. All right, so you get an odd selection of Beethoven symphonies, a few of them. 5 and 6 with Bernstein, 7 with Kubelik, 9 with Furtwangler. You get the Brahms symphonies with Levine, and here we get the Brahms symphonies. Let's see who's doing them. Let's say Brahms symphonies, Bernstein, Giulini, and Kleiber. So instead you get Levine in this box. But otherwise, I mean, it's like the Elgar Enigma variations with Gardner, Chabrier with Gardner. I mean, these are all signal Vienna Philharmonic recordings, right? I mean, it's, some sniggly bits of Mozart and a couple historical recordings, and, Christian Thielemann doing Richard Strauss. Horrible. And, you get Tchaikovsky 4 and 6 with Abato instead of 4, 5, 6 with Karajan on that. And, that's basically all this box. And the thing is, of course, what makes this so stupid, this particular thing stupid, is that Decca did a fabulous Vienna Philharmonic 175th anniversary edition, because Decca has all the really good Vienna Philharmonic stuff, or a lot of it, really. I mean, they had more of it, let's put it that way, if you didn't already sort of blow your patrimony on other boxes all coming out at the same time. And we're not even talking about artist-related boxes like Giulini in Vienna that has all that Bruckner, or Bernstein on DG doing all Beethoven's. It's so silly. How often are you going to repackage and rediddle the same stuff? But what makes this thing even stupider, it does reflect nicely though, doesn't it? Even stupider is the fact that there was no reason to do it this way at all. Because if Universal can do 400 versions of the Rite of Spring, all on one box, on the Decca rubric, there is no reason that Universal, the company, cannot do a stunning Vienna Philharmonic box drawn from recordings on Decca, Philips, and Deutsche Grammophon. Right? Right. But no, that would take too much intercompany cooperation and coordination. Blah. So that's box number 4. Now, but I've saved the pièce de résistance for last. Box number 5 is, get ready, folks, get ready, the Berlin Philharmonic Furtwangler wartime recordings set. Oh, is this a total ripoff in more ways than one? Now, let's where do we begin? First of all, I just think it's delicious that the Berlin Philharmonic has finally managed to swallow what little collective pride it had and decide that it had enough of independent labels and pirates capitalizing on its Nazi patrimony. And they have decided it is now okay for the Berlin Philharmonic to capitalize on its Nazi patrimony. Personally, I think this should have been illegal. I really do. This is a horrible, horrible thing when you think about it, I think. I mean, just from sort of a moral and historical standpoint that they be doing that. But let us leave that aside for a moment. And I'm not even going to talk about the fact that these are mostly like crappy performances, because that's not interesting. I just want the Furtwangler people out there to like drool as I sit here and stroke it and insult their idol. Oh, it's the Furtwangler box. Oh, yeah. What fun. Anyway, look, these recordings have been out for forever. They've circulated all over the place. They are terrible sounding. Some of them, forget about whether that you like the performances or you like Furtwangler. The sound is what it is. This claims to be, of course, original tapes. Lots of people have claimed that. Original sources. Lots of people have claimed that. Newly remastered. Everybody says that. And at a ridiculous price. I mean, you can get all this stuff for like, 10 cents a disc somewhere. Music and Arts had some of it out. Tara put some of it out. It was cheap. You got it cheap. This is like $200-300. It's crazy expensive. Why did I get it then? If you got to be a moron to buy it. And I bought it. Why did I buy it? Because I felt it was my professional obligation to see if any of the claims they made for this were true about the superiority of the sound and all that. And I can tell you without any hesitation, no, it is not true. It's not true in a meaningful way. You see, the thing about these psycho collector Furtwangler people is that they are running around searching for the holy grail that does not exist. That is a version of this stuff that really sounds better. Instead, what they yak about, because the less significant the differences are from one edition for the next, the more heated is the discussion and the more exaggerated and ridiculous the claims that get made. That's sort of in the nature of this business. Teeny trivial differences are exaggerated and blown out of all proportion. Now, the Furtwangler wartime recordings always sounded bad. There were a couple that weren't too terrible. A couple of the Brahms symphonies aren't too bad. There's some others that, they're tolerable. You can listen to them. But is it possible to improve them? Is it possible to improve them in some sort of revelatory way? No, it isn't. They are what they are. They are crappy sounding wartime broadcast performances. That is all that they ever will be. And no matter how much you remaster them, how nice a box you stick them in, how much you charge for them, they are never going to sound better than what they are. And so this baby gets my award for stupidest box of the decade. Hands down. There's nothing that even comes close, because it's also the biggest ripoff. And also the sort of, it gets the rip-off award, it gets the pointless award, and it also gets the moral atrocity trophy. And so, where else are you going to find that combination? All in one outrageous package. There you go, folks. 5 ridiculous boxes for us to not keep on listening to. We are going to keep on listening to the good stuff. Thank you. Take care.